The square was silent before the first scream. The sun hung low, red as spilled blood, and the air smelled of iron and sweat. A woman knelt beneath the marble platform, her back already streaked with lines that glistened like wet parchment. They said she had defied the law of the gods, but no one could remember which god she had defied. Some said the punishment was for blasphemy. Others whispered it was for something far older, something the empire itself feared to name. When the whip cracked, even the statues seemed to flinch. Rome, 146 AD. The Forum Celeris, a place where trade met justice, and justice wore the face of cruelty. That morning, 3 women had been dragged through its gates, chained together, their heads bowed beneath the eyes of merchants, nobles, and slaves alike. No one dared look for long, yet no one dared look away. Under Roman law, punishment was not only for justice, it was a theater of power. Whipping in the square was both spectacle and warning. Each lash was a line of command written on human skin. They said it was the price of order. But order in Rome was never free. Dust rose with every step the guards took. The crowd pressed closer, murmuring like restless bees. Chains rattled, coins exchanged hands for better views. A boy perched on his father's shoulders, eyes wide as if watching a legend unfold. But beneath the spectacle, something darker stirred, an unease, like the city itself was holding its breath. The air reeked of sweat, olive oil, and iron. The sound of the whip was a serpent's hiss, followed by thunder. Each crack echoed against the marble columns, scattering doves into the blinding sun. The victim's breath came in ragged gasps, half scream, half prayer. Somewhere a lyre played faintly from a tavern, as if mocking the rhythm of pain. But who were these women? No one said their names aloud. Only one, the youngest, lifted her head when the crowd jeered. Her eyes found the magistrate, and for a heartbeat he faltered. Why would a man of Rome hesitate before a condemned girl? The victim's view. She felt the stones beneath her knees, hot from the sun, slick from the blood of those before her. Her wrists burned where the iron bit her skin. But the worst was not the pain, it was the silence that followed each strike. She realized in that quiet she was being erased. The ruler's view. The magistrate Marcus Severian watched the whip descend. He had ordered countless punishments, but this one was different. The girl reminded him of someone or something he could not name. The crowd's view. They saw not a person but a performance. They whispered she was cursed, or divine, or both. They watched because to look away was to invite suspicion. When the third lash fell, the crowd gasped. Not from pity, from fear. A mark appeared on her back, faint but strange, shaped like a serpent coiled around a staff. The healer's sign. But this was no healer's ritual. That symbol carved by the lash would haunt the magistrate long after the crowd dispersed. That night the magistrate could not sleep. He kept seeing the mark, the eyes of the girl, and the silence of the crowd. He ordered the records brought forth, yet her name was missing from every scroll, as if she had never existed. When he returned to the square by torchlight, the whipping post was gone. Only the mark remained, burned faintly into the stone. The elders whispered that once, long before Rome rose, the city had been built on the ruins of another, a place that worshipped the serpent mother, a goddess who punished men who forgot mercy. Every few generations, they said, her mark reappeared on the flesh of those wronged by law. Was the girl a vessel or a warning? Marcus sat in his chamber, staring at his own hands. They trembled not from guilt, but from something colder. He remembered the way her eyes met his, not pleading, not defying, recognizing. Recognition where none should exist. He whispered her name, though he did not know it, and it felt like a word remembered from another life. Outside, Rome celebrated. Wine flowed, laughter rose from every tavern, and music chased through the streets. While one man wrestled with ghosts, the rest of the city toasted its greatness. Cruelty had become Rome's rhythm, and mercy its forgotten melody. I tell this story not as a scholar, but as one who walked those streets, who saw the girl's eyes once before the lash fell. And I remember thinking, she was not afraid of dying, she was afraid of being forgotten. I was a scribe then, copying decrees, erasing names when ordered. But her name, though erased, never left my ink. Marcus returned to the forum a week later, announcing no more punishments. He claimed mercy was divine, but his voice cracked as he spoke. Even he did not believe it fully. That night he drowned his doubts in wine, whispering apologies to the ghosts of those he condemned. And the wind outside seemed to answer back, in the voice of a woman. Rome was a city that loved its victories more than its virtues. A city where marble shone brighter than mercy. Yet beneath every triumphal arch, beneath every carved god, there were ghosts, the forgotten ones, whose pain kept the stones standing. The women who had knelt in the square were gone, but their silence remained. It lived in the spaces between laughter, in the echoes of the whip, in the hush that followed joy. And those who felt it could never quite belong to Rome again. The market smelled of myrrh and blood. Priests walked in slow processions carrying incense, smoke curling through the crowd like restless spirits. Bronze coins clinked in sweaty palms, sandals scraped across mosaic floors, and pigeons cooed above marble altars. But beneath this living noise was the older Rome, the one that remembered every lash. When the priests blessed the stones did not bless them back. It was the festival of Lupercalia when the mark returned. A sudden panic spread through the forum. On the same marble where the women had been whipped, a serpent's shadow coiled in the torchlight, though no serpent was there. Marcus Severian, pale and trembling, descended the steps barefoot, whispering prayers to Jupiter, to any god who would listen. Then from the crowd, a voice rose, a woman's voice. Soft, steady, familiar. Mercy forgotten will be mercy returned. The torches dimmed, the wind howled through the square, and when light returned, the magistrate was gone. Only his sandals remained beside the faint imprint of a serpent, carved into the stone. The crowd dispersed in terrified silence. No record of him would ever be written again. Years later, the square was rebuilt. The platform replaced, the memory buried under new marble. But when rain fell hard and washed the dust away, the serpent returned faint, glimmering alive. And every time the whip was raised, it struck not just flesh but history. For the city that worshipped order had cursed itself to remember pain. Justice without mercy is not justice, it is ritualized cruelty. Rome built greatness upon fear, and fear upon spectacle. But every empire that forgets compassion carries the seed of its own ruin. The serpent was never a curse. It was a reminder that power without empathy devours itself. And though no woman escaped the whip, their silence became the voice that outlived every emperor. But some say the serpent's mark was not divine at all. They claim it was the work of an ancient sect, healers exiled by Rome who swore vengeance beneath the earth. Their descendants, hidden among the slaves and scribes, kept the secret alive. In our next story, we uncover their legend, the order beneath the baths, Rome's hidden healers. The square still stands. Tourists walk where blood once dried, taking photographs beneath statues that never blink. The air smells now of perfume and stone, not iron and fear. But listen closely when the wind passes through the arches. Sometimes, faintly, it sounds like a whip cracking through time. And then silence again. The kind of silence that remembers. If this story stayed with you, if it made you wonder what justice truly means, subscribe for more forgotten histories brought back to life. Leave a comment below. Tell us, what would you have done, standing in that square hearing the whip fall? Would you look away, or would you remember?